Hello, good afternoon. Thank you ever so much for joining us from wherever you may be. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GAA 0992539. Now, our top story this hour. More than 50 homes collapse as flooding situation in the northeast and upper east regions worsens. A family of 6 has suffered various degrees of injury after their building collapsed on them. We'll have this and other stories coming from our correspondents. Now, today we're going to continue our analysis of the NDC manifesto with a special focus today on the creative arts industry. We're going to be joined in the studio by Rex Omar, who speaks for the party in this area. And of course, experts will be participating in that conversation. Don't forget, we also want to hear from you. Right, let's get started. Now, Guta executives in the central region are appealing to the president not to bow to the pressure of the Nigerians to change Ghana's trade laws. Now, according to them, rather than amending sections of the law that protect Ghanaian traders, government should focus on improving the harsh economic indicators in Ghana that make traders vulnerable. The traders made the appeal at a news conference at the Kotokraba market in Cape Coast. Richard Kwejunyakon has more. Here's his report.
The traders contend that Ghana's trade laws are the only weapons that cushion them against foreign participation in retail trade in Ghana. Guta maintains that per the ECOWAS rule of origin, foreign traders from the ECOWAS sub-region are only permitted to trade in goods that are manufactured in their own countries, and any other attempt to trade in goods that are not manufactured in one's own country would demand that the traders satisfy the GIPC conditions on retail trade in the country. Regional Secretary of Guta, Adjoa Mratete, addressed the media.
These laws are being flouted on a daily basis by our Nigerian counterparts, and they have defied the trade directives of the country. Since they engage in all of the above and even taking over Ghanaian business in these categories, we believe that these laws were established to maintain, enhance or protect local businesses and were enacted to create an enabling environment for our businesses. These laws do not be enforced and not should be enforced and not use the advantage of foreigners.
She says any attempt to change the laws would spell doom for them and their unborn generation.
Traders would be very disappointed if these laws and the standard of the country is lowered to the advantage of our neighboring countries. Many businesses will be extinct in the face of impending competition because most of our counterparts across Africa operate under very good macroeconomic environment, making their products highly competitive in pricing. Nigeria closed its borders to protect their local traders. South Africa did the same. Many European, Asian, and American countries are working feverishly to support their local businesses against competitors. We wish to inform the President that unless these challenges are addressed, the effort of a substantial continental trade will be significantly challenged. Ghana must not be dictated to by our Nigerian counterpart. Central Regional Guta is appealing to the President not to bow to the pressure of Nigerians. Ghana traders must be protected, and we demand this act of right from the government.
The traders called on government to, as a matter of necessity, cushion traders in Ghana to stay competitive rather than considering altering the trade laws that offer them some protection. Richard Kwejunyakon, JoyNews, Cape Coast.
Right, now a Kumawood actor has been shot in a robbery attack in the Ashanti regional capital Kumasi. According to his family, the actor and other tenants in the house have confirmed that armed men repeatedly stated that he was their target. He was shot twice in the thigh and rib by persons who broke into his apartment on Thursday at dawn. We're joined on the line by Nana Yaojima from Kumasi for more on this. Nana Yao, tell us, who exactly is the actor in question?
We are talking about Andrew Ntu Mensah, and he's popularly known in the Kumawood circles as Scorpion GH, and he's known to play lead roles in local action movies, and he's very popular among those who love these Kumawood movies. And his latest movie, I'm learning, is called The Revenge. So he's the person we are talking about, and at the moment he's at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital receiving treatment after being shot twice in the thigh and also the rib area.
So what more do we know about how this incident happened?
So I'm learning that on Thursday at dawn, there were 4 people who broke into the home of Mr. Mensah, and these 4 people went straight to Mr. Mensah's room. His landlord heard what was going on, and he came out with a dagger. And immediately these 4 people, 2 of them came to the landlord and asked the landlord to go back into his room because they didn't come for him. So the landlord was obedient because he saw all of them with guns, 1 lady and 3 others. And according to the landlord, as they spoke to him about he getting back into the room, his tenant, that Scorpion, was also in a brawl with 2 others. So Scorpion struggled with 2 others. According to the landlord, what he heard was that shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. We cannot wait more time or much time. So as this continued, the people started shooting. They shot twice, and the landlord could hear, a lot of noise going on in there. So later, the 2 who had committed the act, who shot Scorpion, one of them came to the landlord's room and told his 2 other colleagues to leave because they are wasting much time. So according to the landlord, they asked him where the money was, and the landlord said he was surprised for them to ask him where the money was, and he told them he has no money. So he had 3 phones on him. So they took these phones and went out to chase the victim, Andrew. But unfortunately, at the time they went out, Andrew had left or fled the scene, and others, there were a lot of people who had come in to support. He also told me that after about 10 minutes, the police were there. So at that time, according to him, Andrew had been sent to the hospital by some people who Andrew had to call on them after being shot twice.
So has this incident been reported to the police yet?
Yes, according to the landlord, yesterday he was at the police station to write an official statement, and before then, about 3 different police teams had been to the house immediately after the incident, and also others, investigators and other people have been to the house, and they've been investigating the matter. And according to him, the police picked some evidence or things that they could link to these people. So police are still on the heels of these criminals. They are trying to fish them out. According to the police, this area around Kwadaso is an area that the police will term as a flashpoint for these criminal activities. So the police say they regularly visit these areas to patrol the area, but at this time they couldn't prevent this incident from happening. And most of the people, or the landlord himself and other people who know about the story, believe that the people were contracted to come in and maybe murder the victim, but that the police are not ruling all those things out. They are picking information from the ground, and with this information, they are hoping that the suspects in this case will be arrested.
Now, do we know whether the police are working with the possible theory that this might be related to his work? Andrew Mensah was an action movie star. He's appeared in many, action movies from Kumawood. Is there any theory that this may be somehow related to his work?
According to the police, they are not ruling out any leak. Everything could be a possibility. So they are looking at a lot of areas. Probably the police believe that probably it could be that they were contracted to come to him specifically. It could also mean that that it was just by accident that they came to him. So they are not ruling out anything. They are looking at all possible evidence that may link some people to this robbery, this incident that occurred there. But interestingly, according to the landlord, they didn't pick anything from the house, except the 3 phones of the landlord. And according to and the landlord believed that they took that on purpose, that they would disable him from calling anybody to come to the scene and help, especially the police. So they believe, the landlord believed that they were targeting Mr. Mensah, and he says that probably it's because of the kind of work he does, and that's a lot of the people in the neighborhood believe same. But the police say they are not ruling out anything. They will look holistically into the issue.
Nane Aljuma, thank you very much for that report from Kumasi. Now, a group of civil society organizations are lamenting over the delays in the establishment of an independent police complaint commission. The group, which has for a while now been campaigning for an oversight institution, say that this will help deal with the issues of unprofessionalism in the police force while resolving police-civilian disputes. The group, led by Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, says that there hasn't been much progress in establishing the commission despite building consensus with stakeholders. Reacting to the latest Ghana Integrity Initiative report on law enforcement and justice institutions, Director of CHRI, Mina Mensah, maintained that a lack of sustained pressure on governments is the reason for the delay in the establishment of the commission.
An external oversight body. The Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative and its partners have been working on an independent police complaint authority for Ghana. It's something that we've been doing for a very long time. Currently, as at last year, December, we developed a legal framework which we handed over to the Ministry of Interior. We have not received any feedback from that document. We had one meeting with the ministry where we handed the document over to them. They said they will revert, but we haven't heard anything from them. So it's a conversation that has gone on for a while. And UPR, the last review, Ghana committed to an independent oversight of policing. So at the end of the day, it is for us to keep the authorities committed to do what they are saying. And I always have some retort when the media asks that. You are a stakeholder, the fourth estate. If government is not doing what it ought to do, it is not for you to come to civil society. Go to government and ask government to do what it said it will do. You have a bigger platform than I have. So it will be good if all of us come together and insist and put pressure. Because you're having an interview with me today on this issue. Trust me, that is, you play it today and that's the end of it. Will government take anybody serious? No. So that is one of the reasons why politicians get away with what they get away with. The media will pick it up. One story, 2 stories, and that is the end of it. And because of that, the authorities, they wait us out so that they can get away with it. Yeah, you should do a lot more, which I know you won't promise.
Now, spokesperson for the former president, John Dramani Mahama, Joyce Bawa-Mokhtari, says an NDC government will abolish the double-track system in senior high schools within its first 2 years in office. The double-track policy has been criticized heavily by stakeholders in the education sector who insist it compromises quality of education at the senior high school level. The opposition party promised in its manifesto that it would abolish the system when voted into power. Speaking on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV, Mrs. Bawa-Mokhtari said this will happen in 2 years.
The first 2 years, certainly we would have rolled out a very comprehensive blueprint that enables us to totally stem. And of course, for some of the schools where infrastructure is not a challenge, where populations are not too large, why not? And certainly building more schools will mean then that we are able to even reduce numbers and encourage more children to go to school at the same time. There is a good reason why Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah left us with the school model that we had. It is a product that has brought us all here. I believe that our children deserve even all of that and more.
On corruption, the former deputy minister said a new administration would codify a set of rules on conflict of interest to prevent its occurrence.
No time faulted Siraj for doing his work. He had no issues with the work that was done. The question is whether or not everybody at the presidency was conversant with rules regarding gifts. And I told you, even I myself at the time had never averted my mind to it. But I had actually later on found out, because of the ruling from Siraj, that there was a certain policy in place. It is the reason why we are promising in our 2020 manifesto that there will now be specific guidelines for public office holders. Those guidelines will reflect clearly all of these things that imagine, for example, declaration of assets. It is a matter of public policy that anybody within a certain public office situation must declare their assets. But how often do you see people doing so? And who gets punished for not doing so? You understand?
Well, it's because it's done under certain circumstances.
No, but in some circumstances, look, there is also some sort of political chicanery that goes in some of these things. Sometimes we'll turn a blind eye because maybe it's not in our interest. Other times we'll turn a blind eye because it's not something that we want to do. But I think President Mahama's commitment is that he will continue to strengthen governance. And one of the key planks of strengthening governance is that we must find ways to deal with corruption.
Joyce Bawa Mukhtari there. She speaks for former President John Dramani Mahama. Now, Senior Minister Yaw Osafo-Maafo has urged the Birth and Deaths Registry to decentralize their operations across the country to cover more rural areas. Now, he maintains that the work of the registry is critical to development planning and that the agency must ensure its presence everywhere. The senior minister was speaking at a ceremony to donate vehicles and motorbikes to some selected government entities under the Public Sector Reform for Results project being implemented by his office.
We need to know the exact numbers of the inflow and outflow. That's the birth and deaths. If we do not have these figures accurately, we cannot plan. And you have been confined to the cities because of lack of logistics support. You must operate more in the rural areas than in the cities, because this is where the need to really get the date of birth and everything done properly. Some of us have to depend on events to link to our date of birth.
That's true.
You know, so you were born when Prince Charles came to Ghana. This is how some of us make our date of birth. That should be something of the past. And you must move to areas where you teach the people, intermingle with the people, so that birth and death are recorded. People don't die, nobody knows about it. Nobody takes them off. It's not right. And this is happening in the villages. We must record both birth and death. And that job of yours, you must really do and do well, because it will help with planning. Particularly, it helps with the flow. Now we know that everybody is moving in a particular direction. Then we provide more services to these areas which are swelling up because of population dynamics. So please, Osofo, over to you.
Thank you so much. We are grateful for this very critical support, and we promise to set ourselves to the task and reform and transform the registration processes. Just as you've said, we'll give it our best shots. We are grateful.
Thank you.
Senior Minister Yaw Osafo-Maafo at the ceremony there. Now, the project, which was funded by the World Bank, saw the Births and Deaths Registry receiving 10 pickup trucks and 23 motorbikes. The DVLA received 6 mini buses. The Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation received 4 vehicles, while the Office of the Senior Minister received 5 for supervision. Mr. Yaw Osafo-Maafo also added that the government is striving forward, ensuring that the public sector reforms are funded locally, both in terms of human and financial resources. Ghana's public sector reforms have always largely been funded by development partners.
Now that the reform is under the office of the senior minister, it is our duty to ensure that these reforms do not become permanent feature of the system. The reforms should come to an end along the line, such that the whole civil service, the whole public service will internalize the reforms, will continue without any external stimuli, and will ensure that both in human and material resources, the country can itself carry out the reform without any external support. All our reforms have been supported externally, and I think we should along the line begin to see an end to this external support. We should begin to internalize these reforms and do it ourselves. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today we are to provide support to 4 institutions, but on the whole, the public sector reform for resource project is providing support for 16 entities. And I think for the benefit of the media, let us know who these 16 beneficiaries are. We have 5 what we refer to as frontline service delivery agencies. These are the Driver Vehicle and Licensing Authority, popularly called DVLA, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Passport Office, the PO, Birth and Death Registry, BDR, and the Ghana Immigration Service. These 4 frontline agencies obviously are very critical to the whole development of the economy. Then we have 6 central management agencies. And the selection of these 6 is also very important. The first is the Public Service Commission itself. The number 2 is Office of the Head of Civil Service and Public Records and Archives Administration Department, PRAD. The third is Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation. I normally call them MOMI. Then we have the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, and the National Information Technology Agency, NITA, of the Ministry of Communication. And last but not the least, the Office of the Senior Minister.
Last but not the least. Okay, so there's more to come on the show. Stay with us. The Pulse continues after these. Welcome back. Now, today, we're going to continue with our scrutiny of the NDC's People's Manifesto. Our focus today is on the creative industry. We're very honored to have with us Rex Omar, who speaks for the NDC on these particular issues regarding the creative industry. And he joins me in the studio. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm hoping we can also talk about tourism and culture.
Of course, I mean, yes? They are intertwined. So.
Very good. Okay.
But my area is specific.
The creative. That's fine. We will focus more on that. We're also going to be joined on Zoom by some of the industry players to scrutinize the manifesto. We have Obri Tete. He's a musician and a social actor. Fiadem Curve Season is a gospel musician and entrepreneur. Kwesi is a live blogger and entertainment analyst. And later, we'll have Prince Chega, who is a player in the industry and entertainment host on Hits FM. He will help us digest the NDC manifesto on the creative sector. But I want to start with you, Mr. Rex Omar. It's a pleasure once again to have you. And I noted that under the creatives, there were a total of 17 separate points made. And I did try to go through them to see what's new and what's just a reiteration of what we've been hearing. I've got to say the reiterations are more than the new. But for you, what exactly is it that you think is the one item out of this list that is going to be the biggest transformer to the creative industry?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that there is something, a game changer that perhaps did not reflect in what you have. A standalone ministry.
Right.
To take care of the creatives in its entirety. This policy, both divide are happy with it. because this is long overdue. You know, our manifesto is called People's Manifesto. And then before I continue, I would like you to understand, in most cases when we talk about creatives in this country, people think we are dealing with only music and movies.
Yeah.
For people to have a clear understanding as to what we're talking about, I would like to, if you permit me, go into this quickly so that, you know, the creatives have been divided into 6 thematic areas.
Right.
We're talking about cultural and natural heritage. Under it comes the museums, including the virtual museums, archaeological and historical places, cultural landscapes, natural heritage. Then you come to performance and celebration. Under it is performing arts, music, festivals, fairs, feasts, etc. Then you come to visual arts and craft. Underneath comes fine arts, photography, crafts. Then you come to books and press. Underneath comes books, newspaper and magazines, other printed materials, library, and also virtual libraries, and then book fairs. Then you come to audiovisual and interactive media. There you're talking about films and videos, television and radio, also internet streaming, and you are talking about internet podcasts, video games, and also online video games. Then the last one, you're talking about design and creative services. Underneath, you have fashion design, graphic design, interior design, and landscape design, architectural services, and advertising services.
So architectural services are being added to the creatives industry.
It is part of the creative industry. In our part of the world that we've neglected all these things, when we mention creatives and people are thinking of only music and film. So this huge industry that has been proven based on UN research that creates employment for, is the creator of employment for youth and women, the highest employer in the informal sector. And our manifesto is based on jobs, jobs, jobs. So that is the reason why there's going to be a standalone ministry to take care of this. Now, you know, you cannot have a meaningful flourishing tourism without creative economy, because tourism actually feeds on the creative economy. So the game changer of this People's Manifesto is this standalone ministry that will take care of everything that has to do with creative economy. Because look, if you go to the north, all these guys who are doing the weaving that we used to do smokes, and they're using leather to do hats and all these things, they are part of it. People with the ones who create beads and all that. It's a huge industry that if we harness it, we will be able to have a lot of cultural products to use locally and also to export. Another game changer is we passing the broadcasting bill to empower the local content providers, including the broadcasting corporations themselves. Third, if you go into our policy that is called Big Push, that infrastructural policy, underneath you see that we are going to upgrade NAFTI into a fully fledged multimedia university. NAFTI is a tertiary, it's a university already, but it's not autonomous. So what we're going to do, we're combining the NAFTI and GIJ and Institute of Languages and make it a fully fledged multimedia university with campuses in Accra, Kumasi, and Tamale. And then when you look at MPP's manifesto that they are talking about studios, our thinking is different. Yes, you do studios, but we will have to put the studios in the campuses as part of working tools, so that by the time the guy goes through the university, he knows everything, whether it's music recording or film design or lighting design or stage design or whatever. They will learn it through that. And then these studios can also be open for the public usage, because it's in the studio, just like we have teaching hospitals. You can have teaching universities. So people can just, or whatever it is, and pay a subsidized whatever, just because these studios must be maintained.
Right.
You cannot just go and put studio in places as government, just putting studios in places for who to manage it, and at the end of the day, what will be the purpose? So we have a different ball game altogether. So when MPP is talking about building film villages and whatever, we would rather want to build film villages that is in the campuses. You can have a campus that is like a film village, actually, so you can go and shoot everything there while the students are also learning. That is our approach.
Right.
That's what makes our approach a superior one.
That's interesting, and I think it's a good time to bring in our other guests because there's quite a lot there to think about. This is how the NDC's manifesto seeks to change the game for the creatives industry. Mr. Obri Tete is a musician, a social actor. I think I'll start with you if you don't mind. Do you find that the problems that are unique to you and your craft have been solved by the policies that the NDC is proposing?
Has to go through their policies for the creative arts, and I must say I'm very impressed because, just like he was saying, it covers the performing, the literary, the fine arts sector of arts, and so everybody is caught in there. And they are not just promising structures where you can move into when your products or the services you're rendering are not protected. I love the fact that they are going to put in place legal aid for people to fight over copyright infringements and other things. And I'm very happy about their policies, just to say, but I'm just hoping it's not just talk, because we've heard it before. And comparing it to the MPPs, I think I'll choose the NDCs over the MPP because it covers a wide range of artistic problems out here. Yes.
Right. There are some who suggest that one of the biggest problems for the creatives industry is the fact that our audience is small. We have a country of 30 million people. How do you see that problem being overcome by the NDC's policies? Do you see in there anything that is going to help creatives like you make the most of our audience?
Okay, so then I saw a bit of it. That's all. Now what gives me hope in the NDC's policy is the fact that they keep mentioning partnership, because I see that the creative arts needs partnerships to grow. They're looking at partnering with embassies and museums outside and all that, and that gives an exchange program space for creative to also explore other genius senses out there and also tap into it. So then I see that happening with the NDCs, but I feel like there isn't that complete marketing tool there that will say that we'll sell it outright to the world, because now when a creative in Ghana is creating, he's creating for Ghanaians, but he's not thinking of the outside market so much. So I feel like they should involve a lot more marketing senses and a lot more marketing geniuses that will see the creative industry as a straight product that should be sold to the outside world. And honestly, like I'm saying, if the MPP is a red pill and the NDCs is a blue pill, I'll definitely swallow the blue pill and risk it, because I feel like they have that sense of we care about the artist in there. Yes, so yes. I feel like there's a marketing glitch there, but I feel like should they sit down with the right minds, it will be made to work.
All right, well, that's a point we'll get Mr. Rex Omar to respond to in a moment. But let's bring one more of our panelists in on the conversation. Kwesi Live is a blogger and entertainment analyst. Kwesi Live, good to speak to you. Now, you operate in the digital space. Looking through the NDC's manifesto, do you see that the digital space has been catered for adequately? Would you envisage from reading the manifesto that under an NDC government, digital media will be a better platform for creatives?
Yeah, I think digital media is supposed to, it's something that we've been thinking about or like talking about it for a very long time now. And when you look at our creatives, especially the musicians, the actors, because they hold the majority of the space in the creative arts. I'm not trying to downplay the others, but they are also in there. But if you look at this space, and especially artists and then other spaces, what they are really thinking about or talking about is the fact that how can they market their, their talents and then their work. And I think that's something that we've been really thinking about or talking about for a very long time now. How, our creatives or how our artists and other people in the creative sector can market their goods. And I think one thing that's first of all, let me say, I'm impressed by the manifesto. What I was hoping to see that wasn't captured was how it will be regulated, how the digital space will be regulated in Ghana, because there are so many instances, especially in the writing space. I'm a blogger, so let me take it from the blogger's perspective. That's
right there we're having digital headaches. So let's very quickly see if we can connect a bit clearer to Fiadem Curve Season. He's a gospel musician and an entrepreneur. Do we have you, Fiadem? Yeah, I hope you can hear. Okay, good, wonderful. So yes, I'd love your take on what the NDC envisions to be the future of creatives. What do you think? Do you see your own issues addressed and canvassed in the manifesto?
Yeah, very well. It's a laudable idea, and I think it will go a long way to benefit every musician in this country. But the question still remains: if they would give it that essence of fulfillment, and that is what we are looking for. Looking at everything they've said, I've not really taken time to go through it, but again, I will still stand on the fact that they should be willing to fulfill whatever they ask, because we've been in this country for quite a number of time, and things are being said and they are not being accomplished. And we are looking forward that whatever has been written will be accomplished, and that is what we are looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Rexoma, there's quite a bit for us to work with now. A number of views passed. Generally, everybody seems to be quite pleased with the direction that the NDC's manifesto is taking. I, of course, am always looking at numbers. I want to know how this will be funded. You know, so you've got some very big ticket items there. A new ministry, that in itself is a load of money. Then you're going to build all this infrastructure. You're going to enhance NAFTI. There are going to be studios all across the country. You're going to actually spend money marketing Ghanaian creative products to the international market. I saw that there.
Yes.
The Ghana film, Ghana films are going to be marketed abroad. So a lot of money is to be spent. Where from?
Before I go into where from, I mean, I want to answer the questions from
Sure.
The gentleman who spoke about marketing and the guy who spoke. You see, that is why, if you look, the ministry is going to be called Ministry of Creatives and the Digital Economy. Right now, the world is going digital. I mean, you have libraries, you have virtual libraries. Now, people are doing virtual concerts. Movies are being distributed virtually. So the whole situation is, yes, now it's no longer so important where you live. It does not really necessarily matter the size of your population. You have to take the opportunity of your competitive advantage, being in Ghana, peaceful, create your stuff, and make sure that, look, we have a lot of young people here. If we put our heads together, we can have our own digital space. I mean, Netflix is an example.
Yeah.
Why can't we create our own? So there are so many things that NDC is looking at this thing holistically, futuristically, so that we are not creating something that tomorrow you can depend on. We are creating something that we can depend on in the future too, for the people yet to be born and the new up-and-coming creatives. I'm very happy that the bloggers spoke. They're also in the digital space.
Yeah.
Very few people knew that even bloggers are part of the creative economy, like people like you. One of the things that is going to be interesting is, look, we passed the film bill. We are going to make it operational. The film bill is supposed to come with film fund, because you cannot have a creative industry without funding it. So if we come by 2020, 2021, we are going to have the film fund that will support the film's aspect of it. Now, we have had the creative arts bill in Parliament. We are getting to 4 years. We started the creative arts idea. We did the first draft, and it's getting to 4 years. It's still lying in the Parliament. That one also comes with a fund. You know, so look, if you look at the importance the NDC party is putting on the creatives, this is a new dawn, because a party that promises that we will reduce the ministries has still find it very important to create one for the creatives. It tells you. Now here is the country. We created this Exim Bank. Exim Bank is there to support export drive. Okay. Now Africa, we have the largest market. We've created this 800 million big market, AFC, FTA. How are we preparing our creatives to create cultural products that we can also export? For example, the recent year of return that we did, even though it was organized by tourism, but it fed on creative. Afro Nation, it's a creative product that was exported from Nigeria, that Ghana government went ahead to even sign 3 years agreement with them. Afrochella, it's a creative product, and all the other stuff that went around it. So this is the way NDC is looking at it. We are looking at the bigger global approach to this. That is the reason why we did not leave the educational aspect of it. We need the entrepreneurial aspect of it. Look, when you go to Europe, there are companies that are set, specialized marketing companies purposely for creatives. That is why we sit here and we are showing Mexican soap operas and Indian soap operas. There are marketing companies who are scouting all over the world to push their cultural products. We can do same because we have the competitive advantage to do same. NDC is looking ahead into the future. When it comes to the talent, it's abound. The rest is to create the enabling environment to push it forward.
Now to my question, Sikano.
Sikano is always, it has always been here. It's how you manage it. If we can save and make sure that corruption is bring to its barest minimum, we can save a lot of money. I'm not an economist. We have our financial people who speak to the finances, but I have always believed that if a government has a political will, decides that this is what I want to go. That's why I keep telling you, NDC government is now putting a lot of emphasis on the youth. This is a country where majority of our people fall under the youth. They finish the education, they don't have anything to do. If we don't do anything about this, we are sitting on a time bomb. Our flag bearer have said it over and over. That is the reason why even as we're reducing the ministries by 40, he's still creating a new ministry that will be called Ministry for Youth Development. We are serious and we mean business. We are looking into the 21st century. You cannot do same things and expect different outcomes. So this People's Manifesto, even the way we went about it, tells you that it's a new dawn.
How much consultation went into it? I mean, can you give us an idea of the interest groups that the NDC spent time with in putting together these policies for the creatives?
A lot. Our flag bearer himself did a listening tour. If you remember, he went all over the country before even then. Also the manifesto committee also invited a whole lot of different professional groups, left, right, center. I am not part of the manifesto committee, but they approached the creative sector of NDC. We sat as a team, we made all our proposals and we sent to them back and forth, back and forth. You just not tell them anything and they'll take it. Now you have to justify why. And we were able to prove to them that the future is in the creatives. Look, if Mark Zuckerberg was a Ghanaian and we have been treating our creatives this way, he wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Look at the amount of money, the value of Facebook alone. Can we be talking about cocoa and timber? No. Right now, the world is looking into the creative economy, the creative ability of the individual. So harness the creative ability of the individuals and turn it into an economic venture to bring money. So that's where we're looking at.
There is something that I didn't see. Maybe it's catered for in some other way, so it's good you're here to help us. I was hoping to see something about the fundamental problem, the culture change that is required. You know, in our country, we have a certain view of creatives. We don't see them the same way we see doctors or, you know, or lawyers or engineers.
I agree with you.
Right? But these are people who are using their brain power to create something out of nothing. These are people who are respected in other parts of the world. You talked about Mark Zuckerberg, great example. In Ghana, Mark Zuckerberg would probably be running a busy internet. That's about as far as he would go. Right? So my question is, what are we seeing in here? What is the NDC's plan to change that mindset, that culture of Ghanaians that downplays something that is so valuable, you know, the storehouse of our culture and tradition and everything, downplayed in this manner? How is the NDC planning to approach
NDC
that?
have started it already. That's why I'm sitting here talking. For the first time in the history of Ghana, a major political party like NDC has appointed a practicing musician to speak to the creative economy on behalf of the party. That tells you the way NDC look at things. So NDC appointing me and my brother Sadiq to speak to the creative economy tells you that they're looking at the creatives differently now. Previously, they'll say, oh, but these musicians, so but these people, concert people, the game has changed. That's why I keep telling you, it's a new dawn. It's a new dawn. But then also, I will advise my own creatives that don't look down on yourself. Because at the end of the day, whatever is in you is what makes you. You know, so this is the time.
So I'm hoping, I mean, because obviously you and your party believe in the value of creatives. I'm hoping there's a plan to transmit that belief to the masses, because you need them.
It will happen. You know, the whole situation is we have neglected as a country this sector of the economy for a very long time. So this is the time that, I mean, as I mentioned, the people that falls within the creatives. Look, this manifesto and it's part of the creative is now awakening a whole of them, including the millennials. They are very, very happy, including academia. Because now when you're talking creatives, you're not talking only music and film. You're talking about the totality of it, you know, and this is just the beginning. So that's why I wish everybody, and I'm praying that everybody, if you really care about your destiny, this election is about destiny, especially if you are in the creative industry. This is your destiny. If you want your destiny to be touched, vote for NDC.
Mr. Rex Omar there, chipping in a quick campaign message before he leaves. Thank you very much for your time with us. A lot to think about, isn't there? But there's even more to come on The Pulse. Stay with us. We're about to get into a conversation with our correspondents, whipping around the nation to get reactions. It's Friday. It's time for Our Correspondents, a segment that gives you an update on the major stories that we covered from around the country. That all comes after these messages. You're welcome back. Now, today is Friday. It's time for Our Correspondents, a segment that gives you an update on the major stories that we covered from the various regions. Today, we're going to start from the Northeast region, where we understand 7 persons are injured after their home collapsed on them this morning during heavy rain at Namano. It's a village in the East Mamprushi municipality of the Northeast region. Now, the injured include 2 children. Now, this building is part of about 50 homes destroyed this morning after heavy rain. And the Northeast and Upper East regions have been on our radar the entire week as floods caused by the spillage of the Bagre Dam and heavy rain led to the loss of lives and destruction of property. Our correspondent Elias Sutanko joins us with more as NADMO shuts a major bridge linking Ghana and Burkina Faso because of the flooding. Let's start with the devastation. Eliasu, good afternoon to you. The collapse of some 50 homes have led to the injuries, including this family of 6. What more can you tell us?
Devastations across the Northeast region. And just this morning, we have a report from the Namango community where we understand a building collapsed on 7 persons. As we speak, 3 of them we understand currently receiving treatment at the Baptist Medical Center in Nalego. We understand others are also being treated at traditional facilities in the community. Also, in the Bintiri area, we understand the road linking to Bintiri, which is also in the East Mamprese municipality, to Nakanduri, which is in the Bunkurgu-Nakanduri district, has also been cut off. Several travelers, we understand, are not able to move to the Bunkurgu, the Nakanduri township. And we continue to get several reports of devastations. And as we speak, the municipal chief executive for the West Mamprese municipality has also led a delegation to go to the Janga area, where last week we understand being there to ensure people who are traveling to that area are cautioned. And so that's the situation. Even though yesterday and today rain have subsided, we have not had rain since yesterday, but the spillage of the Bagre Dam, as we understand, continues. Then the White River border continues to get flooded in many parts of the region.
Right. Now, Eliasu, 50 homes destroyed. So what's happening to these families? Have they been relocated? They are currently displaced. What's their fate?
Well, according to the local NADMO service in the area, these people are currently living with their family and friends. As usual, this what happens all the time when we have this disaster. People will move in and go and live with family and friends. Others will also move into public buildings like schools and place of worship. We confirmed that NADMO has confirmed that these people are currently living with their family and friends in the community.
So there is nothing being provided to them by the state, nothing being done for them by the state.
NADMO continues to call in for more relief items. As you are aware, NADMO is really handicapped in providing relief items to the victims. Only last week, I was with the regional minister's delegation, and they fled to the Kunkwa area, where they provided very limited relief items to the scores of victims who have been badly affected by this particular disaster. And as I speak, NADMO, they themselves are saying that they do not have enough in stock, and so they continue to call on charity organizations, individuals, and groups to come to their aid. I can confirm that the victims at Namango have not received any aid packages from NADMO.
Right, okay. Now, what's this we're hearing about the bridge connecting Ghana to Burkina Faso being closed down because of the flooding?
And that is the Kwalugo Bridge. As we speak, NADMO in the Upper East region has deployed its staff. There are others also deployed from the Upper West, the West Mamprese in the Northeast region. And so these people are stationed at vantage points. And because of the importance of this particular road, yesterday in the night it was totally shut. But the vehicles continue to overwhelm the staff, and so they were compelled to open this particular road. And so that's why they have deployed scores of NADMO staff and local search parties to stand on the road and try to manage the vehicular movement. And so when you get to the bridge from Tamale, there are people who are directing, who are actually in the water directing the movement of these vehicles. When you're coming from Volga, there are others also standing there controlling the movement of vehicles. But I understand that when the situation continues this way, they will have to shut the bridge again tonight, because that means there will not be staff in the night at night to control the movement of vehicles. And so to prevent any disaster, they will have to shut it at night, possible open it tomorrow morning, deploy their staff so that they can control the movement of vehicles.
Right, okay. Now, Let's move on to another story. Thank you, Ilyasu. We appreciate that update. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, is in the Upper East region, which has also been affected by the floods. On Thursday, he accused the Burkinabe authorities of spilling more than they had initially planned. Shortly after inspecting the devastation caused by the floods, which were caused by recent torrential rains, coupled with the spillage of the Bagre Dam in Burkina Faso, Dr. Bawumia made a stop at the Anatim community in the Bolgatanga municipality, where he donated items for the onward distribution to the affected victims. We'll be speaking to our Upper East Regional correspondent, Albert Sore, who followed the flooding in the region and the Vice President's tour. But before then, here's a quick report of the Vice President's tour of the flooded areas.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia started his tour of the Upper East region by inspecting a damaged portion of the Bolgatanga-Boku Road, which had been washed away at Kobore by the floodwaters and as a result, cut off the eastern part of the region from the capital. Bolgatanga. He then went by helicopter to inspect the general damage caused by the floods in the Upper East region. Next, the Vice President stopped at the Anatim community near Sumbrungu in the Bolgatanga municipality, where he made a donation of relief items for onward distribution to the flood victims. Here, JoyNews observed that some of the displaced flood victims were now seeking shelter at the community's basic school. Space had been created in the classroom by moving away the classroom furniture. Mattresses were then laid and mosquito nets hung where the victims had been sleeping. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia donated some relief items to the flood victims. The items included blankets, mattresses, mats, food items, clothing and soap. The Vice President also donated a cash amount of 20,000 Ghana cedis to the flood victims.
On behalf of the government, NADMO has been very quickly reacted to the disaster that has befallen our people. And so here we are, and NADMO has brought in relief items to provide for the people. And these relief items includes mattresses, soap, rice, and other oil and other buckets and so on. So water, and so they've been provided items to allow them to have some normality whilst we deal with the bigger problem.
Dr. Bawumia wrapped up the first day of his tour with a visit to Tono Dam at Navrongo, where work had been ongoing to repair a broken portion of the dam's spillway caused by the floods last year. Managers of the dam had been forced to spill excess water through the spillway, even though the repair works had not yet been completed.
Looking at the floods that have happened in the Upper East region, and we've examined and assessed what has taken place so far. The issue of flood control is very, very key, and the Palugo irrigation project is going to be one of the key solutions to this huge flood that we are seeing. And it's also going to be a key solution to complement the Tono Dam in terms of irrigation. The Palugo will bring about 12,000 hectares into irrigation and will have a major impact there, but it will also have flood control and electricity. Now, Tono is very important. As you can say, we've done some rehabilitation of Tono. This has been like the first in about 40 years that we are seeing a rehabilitation of this dam. And there's work going on the spillway, and I think that it was important to come here. I've been here when it broke to see what was going on. Quickly we set about fixing the problem, and the work construction is going on. And I think when the water level recedes a bit, the contractor will come and continue the construction.
Today, the second day of the Vice President's tour of the Upper East region will take him to the Nabdam, Bongo, and Kassina Nankana West District, where he is expected to inspect some projects and address debtors. Albert Soris report for Joy News.
Right, so we have Albert on the line right now. First of all, Albert, why don't you tell us about today's tour?
Yes, Kojo. Today's tour did not take place as it had been expected to. It is unclear why, but one of the things that happened was that the morning schedule for the Vice President's second day of the tour was interrupted by rain in the morning. However, he started the day attending a radio interview with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation's radio station here in Bolgatanga. Shortly after that, he paid a personal visit to Reverend Eastwood Anaba, who is the founder of the Fountain Gate Chapel. And then he came back to the residency at the Regional Coordinating Council. Now, the planned trips to Nabdam, Bongo, and the Kassina Nankana West districts did not take place. And they are yet to explain why those trips were cancelled. But in the afternoon, the Vice President joined the Islamic community to say the Friday prayers. And as we speak, he's currently back at the Regional Coordinating Council, where he's holding some private meetings with some different groups of people.
Okay, so, well, at least they have managed to tick off a few of the items on their list. But how has the week in general panned out in the Upper East region?
Yes, so this week, the major issues in the Upper East region have been the devastating effects of the flood in many parts of the region. One of the places that the Vice President visited was the Kobori stretch of the Bolgatanga-Boku Road, where a portion of the road has been washed off and creating a gully that prevents people from being able to cross from Bolga to Boko and vice versa. Now, in the Pualugu areas, roads are also submerged. In the Kassina Nankana areas, Talinsi and Nabdam, we have similar effects where farmlands have all been submerged and people are generally distressed because of this. It's going to take some time for the flood waters, I should say, to subside, because for a very long time we have not seen this the floods as serious as they have come this year. I have covered floods for almost every year, and this is the first time we have seen water actually go over any bridge at all in the Upper East region and flood the road. So it's been a very, very busy week for government officials, NADMO officials, and for us as newsmen who have been trying to cover the floods. Now, the Vice President's visit, when he paid a call on the victims of the floods at Anatim, also went to indicate how serious these floods have been. And as you saw in the report we played earlier, you would find that many of the victims had taken shelter in classrooms. There is one part of that community where some of the people were sleeping in a filling station that is still being built. The owner gave them the place to stay for a while until something is done about their homes. So generally, it's been all about the floods and the devastating effects they have caused in this part of the country.
Albert, sorry, thank you. Thank you very much for that quick update on the week in the Upper East region. Let's now go to the Bono region, where Precious Semevo has been following the president's activities. Now, Okochiredom Sechi Akun, forgive me, Paramount Chief of Drobo Traditional Area, appealed to Nana Akufo-Addo to help Zezera community to get communication network connectivity, which will aid their daily activities, including education. We'll soon be speaking with Precious. But before then, let's hear the Paramount Chief of the Drobo Traditional Area.
One of the important things we need is network connectivity. In today's world, everyone is using social media to communicate. Students need internet to also learn. Welcome to CI Orange. If you get here, you can get the network signal from Ivory Coast. Meanwhile, we are in Ghana. So we are pleading that we need a good network connectivity. Communication network. The previous administration started the construction of the day senior high school.
Now, Precious joins us. Precious, what more was said and what was the president's response?
Well, I'm not too clear if I heard you right, but it has to do with what transpired in Zezera yesterday on day one of the president's tour of the Burkina region. Mainly, the chief Adam representing the Drobo Traditional Council appealed to the president to, as a matter of urgency, ensure that their telecommunication network will be worked on. Because even as we got there yesterday, the whole of hours that we spent in that community were cut off completely.
Right, we must apologize for the quality of the sound there. We're going to try and clean that up. But in the meantime, let's hear what the president said in response.
As for the TVET, it is very important. If you want us to implement it here, we will do it starting from the next batch of students. This means I have a good plan for you, so you must also be good to me and vote for these two men standing by me.
Now the inside can you our message
Right, on to the Western region now, where my colleague Nathalia Kwansa reported on the impact of COVID-19 on livelihoods in that region. She joins us now. Nathalia, tell us more.
Yes, Kojo. So I went to the Western Regional Community. In fact, it's a fishing community called Apel Sika. When I got there, I saw many school-going children. You could see some of them selling, others playing in the sea. Others have joined other ventures like carpentry, others doing all sort of business, which is not commendable for students. And some of them, they've also, the football lovers among the children, have also joined a football competition, which they say they have it each and every day. I spoke to a parent who told me about how a 3-year-old boy died in the sea after leaving home, telling his mother that he was going to his grandmother, but later on followed his friends to a sea defense project, which is being done in Axim, and then the boy fell inside. His colleagues who are just of his age, 3-4 years, left him, did not tell anyone. So by the time a fisherman went there and saw the boy was already dead, that is the situation there in most fishing communities in the Western region.
Right. Thank you very much for that, and a bit of an insight there. Let's now go across to the OT region, where my colleague Peter Senu has been interacting with the roads and highways minister who has been touring. Now, before Peter joins the conversation, let's first hear the report he filed on the visit. Right. In fact, let's go straight to Peter. He joins us with more information. Peter, the Roads and Highways Minister spent some time in Oti. What was his mission?
Right. Last week, same time around, this same hour, the roads minister was in the Oti region to inspect some ongoing roads and as well cut salt for the construction of Ketekrachi town roads, which has been in a deplorable state for some years now. And so he was in the region. In fact, to do just that and go back. But one thing that is of concern to us all and government is the fight against COVID-19. And if you watch what is happening now, nobody seems to care about the observance of the various protocols, especially the wearing of the face or the nose mask. And when he came, I know the program, the sword cutting ceremony was almost turned into a campaign ground where they introduced the parliamentary candidate for the Krachi West constituency. And in fact, if you see the way people jump around and then shout in the air without their mask on, it calls for worry for us all and government. And so now that we are entering into the political season proper, where campaign will be intensified against December 7th, I feel that we must stem the fight or make sure that the various protocols are strictly observed so that we don't have a spike in the cases as we are observing now that the numbers are still increasing. When you complain, people think that we have been living before COVID-19 and that life should go on as normal. I have seen people, shake hands at functions and hug each other, and they say they have been doing this before COVID-19. And that is a cause for worry for government and for us all, that we cannot wait until there is a spike in cases that will cause for another lockdown where all of us will be affected and involved directly or indirectly. Kojo.
Thank you very much, Peter, for that update from the Oti region. Lots of concern over the spread of COVID-19. All right, well, we've got sports from all around the world right here on The Pulse. You won't have to wait much long for it right after these. Right, well, there's a lot happening in the world of sport, and to walk us through it, the squad is here. Gary Al Smith leading the fray, with George Adu Jr. and Oriku Ampofo joining in. Gary, good to see you. Right, I know we also have George Adu Jr. And Oriku Ampofo. We will reconnect with them in just a moment. Stay with us for that. All the headlines from around the world of sport. We've got leagues popping off. We've got games to come. And sadly, our internet making it a bit difficult for us to connect with George, with Gary. But we have George and Oriku Ampofo, who we will soon be connecting with. In the meantime, 2 people escaped drowning on Wednesday afternoon at Taha in the Sagnarigu district of the northern region. Now, the 2, a tipper driver and his mate, were swept off the Taha bridge by flooding water. This follows several hours of rainfall throughout the day. According to an eyewitness, the tipper truck driver was faced with the decision of either driving to the edge of the bridge to be carried away by flood water or crashing into a taxi which was heading towards Taha. Right, we apologize for not being able to bring you the sports technical difficulties, but we've got election headquarters content right here. The Ododo-Dio constituency is our destination for voters' voice today. Now, with recent attacks on their member of parliament, residents in the area say an end to electoral violence is non-negotiable. Here are some of them.
Wavotu. Dan eba shene no. She agbene konye o so hegbeye. Ajake mokoye ene yo. Buajejo yo. Ena mame yo power. Kaka bokpe eba fesu akeba plabo. Aha ma wo kajebe na bon register mo. Banye ma bi ase. Ka ni bi ye ma na mi. Aka wajame. Bana register mokotashi. Eyin premba mama agba telephone bi la kan chebo unu chumo. Ochu akolo. Aka mi na won bio ni ka mi challenge bo. Aja ka ni eni wotashe won kwa no fi ano. Aka mami na ye jio. Kanya ba anu na ka mokowo. Why me no nete no neba he. Why me no nete no neba he. Why me? Oh, why me? Why me? No nete no neba. Why me? Oh, come
Inke floor engo fonana. Therefore yes, floor engo fonana. Ya no akamo fiamu. Binila tenke inke floor engo fonana. Ejake 4 years ni bako iye roake e ba na che abatu sila anu chumu 4 years ni bako e ba na abatu sempe nu chumu.
We need peace and unity. We are all here to do what is right. But as now what is going on, it's not fair. If you pass here, people are passing, you pass here, they are fighting here and there. We are not here to fight. We need peace and unity.
God, James Town, fishing a ball, no Benjamin fat. What for what Tabiani, Nibanaka, Akufado, I met Tena, my cat sword, Najaluchi Moshi, or Benjamin fat. Fat, or you them not three. Them not three, when you know Yakuto name, no, or get 4 more Yakuto name. I'm a minute, circle overhead. Skanaka maseko over the bridge of Ayoko, Mena Kumo Pokwase, interchange Nafio. Mena Kumo Kanation. Correct. Etiako. Oh, Kabo, Libi come.
Etiako. If I know, Mabila, Pokwase, Name lobby skakeba. No. I got Skaniba. Skanaka, Badana Katuni. Pokwase, no lobby skakeba. Lobby. Inshana na catch sword there. They are Kufuado first ni JCC. Kufuwa ni ba de sword catch mo sisi ejeme. Ni Kufuwa government ehu. Afe no kono. Ni twa kamini. Ata oska ka mashomo.
Anamu ata o.
Oh mbra.
Anamu ata o.
Keska ko be bia me ni ga ba bia ma ke. Ani na ko keska ba.
Ofane ke o ata oska ko. Ni oba catch sword there. Dikasa no ona ajenu tumonji. Sure, ata scan je go lutumo no okay.
Over nephew. I got 3 months. FA project. Onye no tasi ni 3 months no I got get ofe ne ke ne.
Mena nigga wo you there. Ke e bi SHS e bi benefit your free SHS.
Kwa. Na kan la be na kan la because we never put mo fe money lay I started free SHS JMO then Akufu Aduba ko le ana chombu I feel a pilot system omo then Akufu Aduba
na afia free HS lo
but nege na Ghana journey sisi na I get pilot but I get piloting no abaje bi abakwa ke o ni ne e ba benefit man lo then aba ni le fio e ke man fe mini ena ese si oni otesi dabi dey problem
I mean na kwale am sumo na me yo I feel free SHS nyeke ba no when this no when okay ba
abafo siki ajo ndo mani mama
ovane batwe mo femu ni ba do mo adeka mi ne vote ni lante vanna boy ke jo mama be mo ko nu pajile tawo bi no ya eja ke Akakufado Fashikapo, Minkabu Biane, 4 years na Kufado, your free SHS, Chicago, open a light bill free, water bill free, open as a Ghanaian, no, light bill free, water bill free, vote for more for Nanado, Banama Yabiane, Minkabo, Banama by election.
Banama will never be MP.
Nilan Tavana boy, 4 more. John Mama. NDC nila tevona po epene slaga market botwe salaga market I'm a kumon for 23 years ne ninkabo you I have a video on my phone ni sla atwoni lebi meni Josh sabi me pa 4 ajonshi 4 na pa 12
ona moni ata wo shika ke ba project
ofane
ata wo shika na ke ba fi project
ofane botwe asatro ninkabo you Jamestown fishing abo yakwaje nutumu na tuwe
propaganda ni they are all lies
ni to be jodo de
all lies
atuni yejen bi ani nkabo yo bi ani MPP wa be MP bi MP common fund me na ke feel
ke bi ani ko gogo the biggest liar in Ghana His Excellency the Vice President Dr. Aliu Bawumia Amaleloni Akufo-Addo Amaleloni me to December 7th I want every Ghanaian got the pull me vote to honorable Nilan Tevanapo. Can His Excellency Joe the betterment of this country.
Ofane, but hey, natu.
I'm never fit Ghana. Na me ba haju. I'm never ju Ghana ska.
Ofane, eba ala maye.
I'm ju Ghana ska.
Ofane, but
na me ju Ghana ska.
Right, proving that nothing will stop these guys from bringing you the sports stories that you need to know. Technology failed, but somehow they legged it to the studio and they're here with us right now. Gary L. Smith, George Addo Jr. Yes. Gentlemen, always good to see you. So, big night ahead of us?
Yes. We are relentless, aren't we?
That's one way of putting it.
Persistent. Well, we are as persistent as football, telling itself that COVID or no COVID, it will be played.
Indeed.
You know, they played behind closed doors. Now they are facing people into the stadium across Europe in small numbers, and that's exactly what we are going to be seeing with the Premier League incrementally as we go along. But tomorrow is the kickoff, and we have a series of stuff that we'll be doing. George is here with me, my co-conspirator on a lot of stuff.
That's right.
So, Premier League is coming. What are your predictions? I mean, we've been seeing a lot happening in terms of the build-up. You know, European football in general starts tonight with La Liga. George?
Yes, La Liga. We've got some games, of course, running through the weekend, and it's good to see all of this back because we've been waiting for it. It's just that some of the fans said that it's just come too quickly. You just blinking our eye. We've got the season upon us. So special games to look forward to clearly, and of course in the English Premier League as well. That starts tomorrow. We've got some fantastic games like Fulham up against Arsenal, which should be an interesting one because of all that Arsenal have done. Gary's an Arsenal fan. They won the Community Shield and as well went ahead to win the FA Cup. And 49 days, we're back here to see Arsenal play. And tomorrow as well, we see Liverpool take on Leeds United. There's been a lot of talk about Leeds United. I like that with their coach Bielsa and all of that. Liverpool themselves have not been too active in the transfer window. So what kind of a game would we see? And I'm sure the bigger question to answer is, will Liverpool be able to defend their title, Gary?
That's the one, which brings us to our predictions. We're having predictions. I'm sure you saw the artwork.
Oh, yes.
So the Joy Sports team, we had our own predictions. Last season, we were spectacularly wrong and spectacularly right at the same time.
Yeah.
Nobody got all 6 correct. So what we were doing was predicting the top 6. You know, this season I predict that Man City will win. He predicts that Liverpool will win. But
more importantly for me, Chelsea will be second. That's my prediction based on the signings Chelsea has gone into and the fact that Chelsea always able to show a fight after going down. We expect a lot from the TBS. And I put Manchester City third and Manchester United fourth. Arsenal, I think, will finish above Spurs. That's it. But we had some interesting, predictions from team members.
Yes.
Hans Mensah-Ando said Manchester United will be second, and that has had to go through the public court. It's not been winning so much apart from those who read as well. Baba Tando said Arsenal will finish second. That's another huge one.
That's another
and
fascinating prediction.
Yes, Oreko Ampofo entirely dropped Manchester United from his top 4 and indicated that Arsenal will finish above Manchester United. It's an interesting one because it hasn't happened in the last 30 years. If it does happen, it's landmark.
Wow.
So, those were the predictions.
Can I ask which away jersey is going to start making people throw up first?
Well, we have seen the Manchester United away jersey, which looks like a prison conscript uniform.
Okay.
And then we've seen the Chelsea third kit as well. which looks interesting. It looks like the Joy FM colors. You know, a bit of purple and yellow. They can't decide what they want to do. And then there've been a few eclectic ones there, here and there as well.
So I think we just run through our program for you in terms of what we're doing to bring you up to speed with our coverage for the English Premier League. And tonight at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on radio, we are going to be telling you how this is coming your way. We've got commentary on the English Premier League via our partners, the BBC. On Sundays. Very, very important. And sometimes we can shock you on Saturdays as well because we've got an opportunity for that. And we've got a show later tonight, Gary.
7 p.m. And then we've got one here on the JoyNews channel at 10 p.m. with Hans Mensah Ando. So stick and stay with the sports team as usual. We got you covered.
Absolutely. We can't afford to miss any of that. Stay tuned for it all. Right now, though, thank you for joining us on another edition of The Pulse. Have a wonderful weekend. We're leaving you in the hands of LTS.